Vulnerability in a relationship is just key. It's paramount. As guys, it's confusing to navigate this, especially if you're new to it, and especially if you've been in personal development community and spiritual community, and let's say those are two different things. So think of it this way. As most guys, when we're dating and in a relationship, we just don't necessarily share that much like women do. We're not wired that way necessarily. We can wire that way. But if you think of women, they're going through something, they're going to talk to a female friend, they're going to call someone. What's unique about women is their body forces them into their current present reality more. What does that mean? Having a menstrual cycle, your hormones are constantly changing, as women do, where women are like the moon, men are the sun. So they're constantly changing. So it's making them have a deeper connection or deeper feeling to what they're feeling now. And sometimes that can feel overwhelming. So there's a deeper need to express it. So if a woman doesn't have a good friend to go to or someone to chat with, she might be having a rough day and just show up at a friend's house. Or she's having a glass of wine. Or the woman who does her nails or cuts her hair, those in a lot of cases turn into almost like therapists. Why is this important? Because as a guy, as you're navigating how to communicate what you're feeling in a relationship, if you communicate with the level of flow like she does, it will be messy. What does that mean? If you're really feeling something intensely emotionally and you want to share it with your partner and your partner has said, hey, I want to connect more with you, I want you to be more vulnerable, and it's not processed, meaning it's just wild, messy emotion, that's almost never going to serve the relationship or you. And you're not wrong for feeling it. It's just, how do you understand that emotion? Do you journal? Do you meditate and ask a couple questions, reflect on it? Do you have a men's circle? Do you have a coach, brother, confidant, someone you can go to? Because once you have a deeper understanding and you've processed it, like, oh, God, that emotion was at like a 12, man. If you brought that to her in that moment, she might at first go, okay, there's vulnerability here, but it seems messy. It seems chaotic. It actually just seems too much like her, meaning it seems too feminine. Now, is vulnerability part of your feminine side? Absolutely. But it's having a channel for it. It's having a relationship and a connection with yourself that you know how and when to communicate it. Again, if you communicate it to her when it's at like a level 12, it's really intense. Again, that's going to be chaotic. However, if you go meditate, journal on it, and you go, oh, okay, here's what's going on. And you can go, yeah, and this is a mistake us as guys make. Like, she knows I've been off in some way, but I think I'm just not going to tell her because I don't want her to worry. Well, that's the interesting thing about women. She probably knew you were off before you knew you were off. This is the power of women. This is the power of the feminine. So by trying to deny it or hide it actually creates more instability, even though it hasn't been communicated. Once it was at that 12, now it's been felt, understood, like, okay, yeah, I've been stressed with this at work. And you know what, man, this makes me think of when my dad made that bad decision at work and he lost a bunch of money for the family. And that, I think, is what started my parents really, parting ways, even though there was things before that. That's so different to go, hey, honey, I've had this stuff go on at work. I'm handling it. I'm figuring it out. And you know what? It's brought up some emotion I didn't know was there. And it made me think of when my parents split up and my dad, messed this thing up at work. There's a different level of safety, but from a centered, grounded place. Vulnerability, in my opinion, it doesn't really work if it's not from a centered, grounded place. Ask me how I know, because I've done both. And if you come from spiritual communities and sitting in different circles where people just open up and open up and open up, if we open up that way in our relationship, she probably won't receive it the same way, or she will in small doses, because what she's really saying or realizing, whether she knows it consciously or not, she's like, well, think of it like a plane. You always have a pilot and a co-pilot in your relationship. Most of the time, maybe all the time, she wants you to be able to fly, but she's the co-pilot. If what you're feeling is so all over the place, you can't fly. There's only two people who has to fly. So she has to be in that grounded place and that sense of direction, because your energy's too fluid. It's too chaotic. Why is this important? It's important because going into different spiritual communities and sharing your heart, connecting with your emotions, it's vital, man. It's essential. It actually ultimately makes women feel more safe as long as it's communicated through that lens of knowing who you are and knowing what you're feeling. I remember back to a relationship I was in the past here in Colombia, where I've been for nearly a decade. And I was trying to navigate this from my lens of being spiritual and emotional availability. And I was newer to how to navigate it, right, back then. And I'll never forget, because it taught me so much. Like, my girlfriend would tell me in Spanish, like, you're really emotionally charged. You're really charged. You haven't digested your feelings. So when I communicated it first, it kind of worked, and it was like, oh, this is a guy that can share. And then after a while, it just got more and more chaotic. So it broke down the polarity. Even though there was the heart connection, it broke down the polarity and the ability for us to connect, because now I was the feminine, and then she kind of had to be forced into the masculine. This happens a lot, and it's really cool if you're in, this can be plant medicine, yoga, meditation, can be men's or women's circles, different things, tantra. You can see a bit of both. So you can see guys that have maybe been in that feminine place too long, and they've gotten comfortable there. And usually there's a few signs. Do they have a lot of female friends? Not so many male friends. That's a big clue. If they're surrounded mainly by women, and especially if no women are dating them, but they're a safe guy in the spiritual community and the whatever, but they're not a safe guy for her to feel safe enough that he's leading, that he can be the pilot. Why is this important? Because vulnerability can be messy if it's not navigated well. And you can look at it from a different way of, as a man or a woman, what's your emotional body? A man can have a more female emotional body, meaning he wants to be heard, he wants to share things in a certain way, but there still needs to be a container. What does that mean? There needs to be a container of, okay, he has a lot to express right now. He's processed through it, but this is important for him to express. He's the one expressing in this interaction. And then, so there's clear boundaries, there's clear roles. So, okay, she's gonna listen and hear his perspective because he wants to be heard or whatever it is. If it's trying to go back and forth, it's almost, again, like that pilot metaphor. It's like, actually imagine it's a car. That's even better, because you can only have one. There's no co-driver. Someone can give directions, but there's not two steering wheels in the truck. So it's like, okay, who's actually driving? Or you're driving, then I'm driving. So it's not clear, where it's different if a guy goes, all right, I'm gonna sit in the passenger seat for the next half an hour. Goes, okay, have you driven? Are we good? Okay. And then you switch. So navigating vulnerability and sharing openly, it's essential in a relationship. If you don't do it, she's gonna feel it. This is kind of confusing as men, because like, no, everything's good. I'm work was good. I'm going to the gym. I hit my meditations, whatever it is. But she's gonna sense these subtleties. If you ever see a cat, and it can be sleeping, right? And one of its ears will twitch or move. There's such a softness and a subtlety and a delicateness in that micro thing in the cat. Micro movement, let's call it. That's a lot like the female experience, where guys, it's like, no, it's just the end result, or it's this go boom, 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 it's this path, and then we go here. Women don't really operate, not they really don't, they don't operate that way. So there's these small things and these details and these subtle things that they're picking up on. So is vulnerability important in a relationship? For a deep relationship, it's essential. However, navigating it by holding back and going, I don't want to make her feel unsafe. I don't want to freak her out. That's not vulnerable. On the other hand, emotionally dumping everything on her, that can work for a little while because you might be the first guy who's opened up to her emotionally, but that gets old quicker than we know. The key is have your feet on the ground, open your heart, know what you're feeling, do it from a centered place, and share this. It has all the answers.